Hi, I'd like to thank Don Charles for the hard work and effort he's put into me over the last 18 months. But now I feel like I need a fresh change and a new start for this next phase of my career where I look to become two-time heavyweight champion of the world. God bless.
Okay. There's Danny Dubois personally making a statement on his social media. Now, of course, this is scripted. Of course, this is something that the PR pretty much put him up to. But I'll say this to say the least. At least they did it. At least they felt obligated to give respect or homage where it was. I don't appreciate the 18 months. That was too specific. He could have just said 2 years because he did take over in 23. And needless to say, it's 2025. So, but I mean, that's just being nitpicky though, really, right? But I think this is a sweep the kitchen. I think this is a overall change to see where and how Daniel responds. Will Tony Sims be better for Daniel Dubois? Will Stan Dubois be that dominant force in his son's life? I think that looking at Daniel, and the shove and all this, that, and the other, a lot of people seen it was coming. Really, to add more, you just proved a lot of people right about what people predicted and said anyway, about what he was going to do. I just think it was new just to make, and I think it's a mature move too. I think it is a mature move for Daniel to, I don't know. Again, I don't think he was the one that thought of this shit, but he might have. I don't know. But whoever thought of it, it was a good idea. Like, look, give Don Charles respect. You know what I mean? Give him appreciation, because I think there's not enough fighters that do that these days. A lot of fighters, you hear about it, then you hear a big quietness from that camp when they separate, and you might hear something from the trainer if the trainer decides to say anything. I am eager to see what Don Charles has to say the least, because he has a lot of, he's had a lot of input and output, when it comes to Daniel. And he thought of Daniel, and he's mentioned Daniel that has been a son to him. Well, we know a lot about a lot of trainers that said that about their fighters. Freddie Roach said that about Manny Pacquiao. Abel Sanchez said that about Gennady Golovkin. So a lot of times that's used, and I really didn't feel Daniel had that same, mindset towards Don Charles. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I didn't really see it. I seen he has a daddy, and he shows that, every baby has a daddy, right? So I do think that, all in all, it was a good move. It really was, because I think it's better this way than that quietness or that silent treatment that you don't hear anything, this passive ass way, or not even responding about it. And, we just decided to make another change when someone decided to ask them about it. And I think this is an attempt to say, look, let's go ahead and address this now, before people start coming at you. Let's make a statement because if you don't make a statement, people are going to start asking, and I'd rather come out there and make a statement, make an announcement before that time comes, so we can avoid all the BS that's behind it, because the questions are still going to come. People are going to still want to know why, but at least they gave or he, or them, should I say, the team of Dubois through Daniel Dubois gave them a reason, and not a reason that it was a fault of Don Charles, but a reason that they just wanted a fresh start. It's better mentally. Let's start fresh. Let's start anew, and let's become another two-time champion. The last thing I have to address, it's not a two-time champion, Daniel. You're already a two-time champion. The goal is a three-time champion. Okay? I don't know if people caught that, but if He calls himself only a one-time champion on the IBF. That means he totally overlooked the WBA regular. Because remember, he got that off of Trevor Bryant. No, or Bryant Jennings. Trevor Bryant. I was right the first time. When he beat him and knocked him out in 4 rounds and obtained the WBA, that's how he was able to fight Usyk the first time. Okay, because without that belt, there wouldn't have been any title shot to fight for a unified title because Alexander Usyk held those unified titles. Okay, so it's the goal to become 3 times Daniel, not 2. But you guys tell me what you think of Daniel Dubois making a statement personally, surprisingly, to the public about Don Charles and thanking him for his 18 months of service. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!